I bid you welcome. I am a little goblin who likes to do makeup, and today we're going to do a special effects look that is completely out of this world, complete with antennas, long ears, and green skin, all while I chat with you about a book I recently finished. So let's get into it. So I know that I am currently in the middle of the Red Rising series and the Legend of Drizzt and the Dune series. But I was sidetracked once again to read a book that, if you've seen my channel before, you know my love for trashy, as I call them, sci-fi novels. Well, I reference one about space bears being taught how to farm something or other. That book actually exists. And it is called Spacepaw. Spacepaw was written in 1969 by George R. Dixon, and they are responsible for quite a few science fiction novels, and after reading this one, I might have to seek them out and finish them as well because I quite enjoyed this one. I mean, as I'm taking hiatuses from my literary hiatuses anyway. It is a 222 page novel, and it follows a human on a mission to teach bear-like creatures tech farming on a planet called Dilba, as sort of a peace agreement between their races and the Hemnoid races as well. Now, I want to give you a clear view of these things. So, the Hemnoids are roughly 10 feet tall, and the Dilbians are roughly 8. So, our main character is like a little flea out here. Our boy Bill is just an annoying little jumping flea. But he's been sent to the planet to try and get in contact with his predecessor so that they can continue to teach this tech farming operation to the Dilbians. When he gets there, no one is there to greet him. No greeting party, not his predecessor, not even the Dilbians are there. And the man's like, yo, what gives? Now, our boy wanders into the nearest, encampment that he can find, seeking aid seeking aid to get to the Shorty residence. Shorty is what they call a human. And I think that that's kind of cute. They're like, hey, little shorty, because they're super small. The leader, Bonebreaker, wasn't going to let our boy Bill return to the village with the honest folk or get to where he wants to go in the Shorty village. He figures, hey, you wander in here, we have no peace agreement with you. But he doesn't understand that, and the man is like, hey, I'm a protected being here, please help me with my luggage. Our boy Bill is built different because I could not be on a new planet and look a 10-foot tall thing in the face and be like, hey, I want to grab my bags. And I kind of laughed as I read this part too. But as the man is basically asking them to help him with his luggage, his actual welcoming party is showing up. And he's basically like, hey, can't you tell the difference between any of us? That's not the good guys. That's not us. That's the outlaws. And he's like, and our boy Bill just takes off running. All these Dilbians are chasing him, and I don't know how he didn't just cease to exist at that very moment. Mind you, he's never seen creatures like this before. He's never been out on anything like this. He's just a simple engineer, and they throw him down there, and he's just instantly takes off. Survival instinct, at least, is a plus in a main character. He's running away from these Dilbians for a while now, and he ends up in what I'm assuming is a little triangle roof thing made out of logs or whatever, and he ends up trapped up there simply because they can't get up there to get him, they're too big. And he starts laughing at them, claiming that he did all of that running and jumping around simply for fun, not because he is afraid of them or anything. why would he be afraid of them? And it's just like, ooh, ooh. Our boy Bill is not only competent, but he's a little fearless and reckless. So we're gonna have to keep an eye on him a little bit there. His welcome party is able to talk the rest of them down and say that, hey, his shorty meant no disrespect to anybody and it was all just a misunderstanding and all this other stuff, and didn't understand who you guys were. And they give him the name Pick and Shovel, and that's what they're going to refer to him in the Dilbian society. And he is allowed to leave with the Dilbian named Hill Bluffer. Now, Hill Bluffer just happens to be the fastest thing on 4 legs, and he hunkers down and allows Bill to ride on his back. And they escape as he fills him in on the fact that his predecessor, Greenleaf, I guess his name is, has died due to a duel with the Terror, who is another Dilbian. And that meant that Bill is all alone in this. They have made off with Greenleaf's assistant as well, and the ingenious man that Bill is, he decides to get himself into some local drama almost immediately, as one of the female Dilbians named Sweet Thing tries to enlist his help to get Bonebreaker to give up his time as a no-good stealing outlaw, basically, and settle down and get married to her. And so much for being a man's man over here, Bill, or Bear's man. So he is to challenge Bonebreaker to a duel. The smallest creature is going to do that so that man can go home and get married. Bill doesn't have time to ponder this response either, as he and Bluffer, I keep saying breaker, him and Hill Bluffer are caught outside the gate after dark, which is apparently a big no-no. And they are now subject to any terror that Bonebreaker would like to inflict on them. As they encounter Bonebreaker and a hemnoid named Mula A, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. If not, please let me know. But Mula A, and they claim that this human, the other human that they have, and that would be Greenleaf's assistant, whom they called Dirty Teeth, and like, rude, first of all. Her name is Anita, and they claim that she has taken solace in their village and refuses to leave. And that they'll let her stay as long as, you know, she needs to. They don't know why she's there, but they're assuming due to some fallout or something, they claim. So our boy Bill convinces Bonebreaker and Mula A to allow him to speak with Anita, and she knows more than he anticipated. She tells him that the hemnoids and humans are looking to wrap this little excursion up as soon as possible, and they're tired of funding it. So, this by any means necessary means that they sent their best agent, Mula A, in to infiltrate and cause even more dissent in between the outlaws and bring the locals, like, all together and try to basically end them in such a way that it looks like just a little local skirmish. So in order for Bill to do his job and bring some structure to the clans and teach them how to tech farm and everything, he basically needs to get a man married. Bonebreaker needs to quit having a little midlife crisis here and settle down with his lady. And I think that that's really funny, how the situation can seem so complicated, and at the end of the day, it's such a simple response. Bill manages to get some sort of message across to his employers and basically discovers that he is all on his own in this mess, and he's gonna have to figure out his own way to solve it or die trying, and the latter seems more likely, as on his way back to his post, he is struck over the head and wakes up tied up. And Mula A is just claiming that, oh man, I was just wandering around the forest here and I found you like this. All the while refusing to actually untie him and help him out. So, a little suspicious, if you ask me. And he's sitting there while he's not assisting him, talking about how his like race of people likes to psychologically torture their victims and everything like that before they finish them off, which also a little weird, dude. If you didn't do this to him, why are you being so creepy? Returns to Anita's in secret, and they begin to have conversations about the Dilbians and how that in the Highlands area there are clear distinctions of grandfathers and like people in charge that can pass down wisdom, whereas down in the lowlands where they are, not so much. And that's why people are continuing to turn to people like Bonebreaker, or the blacksmith is, I believe it's Flatfinger. I kept reading it as Fatfinger. It kept making me laugh. This poor blacksmith is Fatfinger, but no, it's a Flatfinger, and I was reading it incorrectly. In order for there to be more structure in the lowlands, there needs to be one clear grandfather, whether it be Bonebreaker or Flatfinger. And luckily for everybody involved in this situation, Bill is calm, cool, and collected, without any knowledge of the people like that he's there to meet, without any knowledge of the culture or anything like that. He still manages to come up with like a plan. He's unsure of their customs, but he still proceeds trying to talk with them, trying to understand them, and I really like the competency there, and I like that he starts out as like, all right, what am I gonna do? How can I do it? Like, I'm not just gonna sit around and cry about why me. I'm going to make these people regret dealing with me. As you can see, this is coming along nicely. I'm looking like a bug or an ink blot is what I was trying to go for, one of those ink blot tests. So hopefully it's translating so far. We're getting there. And in the same way that Bill is accomplishing his goals. I'm not quite sure what those goals are, but Bill will figure it out. A little bit of a wardrobe change here, as I am going to work on painting the rest of myself here as I finish up some finer details up top, as I continue to talk about our boy Bill here, who is probably one of the best characters, or one of the best main characters I've met in a long time. So he concocts this plan to not only defeat Bonebreaker in the duel, but to restore a sense of order to the lowlands. And as he is leaving Anita's place to enact some of his, like, I don't know, like some of the plan details or whatever, he runs into Bonebreaker, and he's like, oh no, I'm caught, this is it. And Bonebreaker's simply like, hey, you're not gonna challenge me in the middle of the night when nobody's gonna be here to see, like, you lose. So, like, just come back in the daytime, loser. And Bill's like, yeah, can do. Can do. No problem there, bud. So he leaves thinking that all is well and he is in the clear. However, he runs into his most favorite person, Mula A, who captures him while he is trying to climb over a hill. Who's trying to climb over a hill? Well, he's trying to climb over a wall. Get with it, Victoria. Come on. And Bill is like, hey, there's no way you could have known how I was gonna do this. I see, and he catches him in a breach of the Hemnoid and human agreement for using robotic surveillance. And he's like, aha, I've caught you now. And Mula A gives him a look. He doesn't really say anything, and Bill realizes that, well, if I know his secrets, he's got no reason to let me live now. But at the same time, he's not thinking clearly. Well, at least in my mind, I don't think he's thinking clearly. Because, yeah, you need to get away from this man, but at the same time, like, you cannot allow him to return to Bonebreaker either, out of safety for all the other people there. I'm realizing this, Bill's realizing this, and he goes back and he rallies the troops for one last big assault against the outlaws, and he says, this is it. Doesn't matter daytime or not, I am fighting Bonebreaker. This needs to happen. So they all set off, and they're all ready to attack. They get to the gate, and it's just a full-on assault. Everybody's fighting everybody, and Bill is looking for Bonebreaker and Mula A. He spots Bonebreaker and cries out to him, I challenge you, stop, I choose you. Stop the war, basically, like, nobody's gonna do anything until I get my chance to, like, fight you. And so they do. They all stop. Mula A stops dead in his tracks, unable to tattletale on Billy Boy here. And they begin to set up preparations for the duel. The preparations are complete, and the rules are set. The Dilbians have a standard duel practice where it is in a building, and there is 2 entrances. One combatant is at one side and the other combatant is at the other, and all they have to do is get by each other, and the first one out the other's entrance wins. Sounds simple enough, right? I mean, he is small enough, maybe he can sneak on through. Our boy Bill here is as competent as ever, and he starts out the match strong and begins just trying to outwit and outmaneuver Bonebreaker instead of trying to face him head on. And so he finds himself able to somehow knock Bonebreaker out, and he finds himself on a beeline to the finish line here. The only thing standing in his way is Mula A. Hey, that rhymed almost. He is at the end of Bill's tunnel, and he's got a knife in hand, and he is tired of Bill being smarter than him. The locals, however, are overtaking all of the outlaws, and they refuse to let this happen. They favor Bill and have clearly chosen a side in the Hemnoid versus human debacle that they had, the little agreement or whatever, and they decide to give the Hemnoid the send-off he deserves. And you'd think that when I say they give him the send-off that he deserves, that they would just straight up kill the little Hemnoid, but no, in fact, they do one better, where they beat the ever-living snot out of him, knock him out, and then as a collective, they gaslight him and are like, no, nothing happened to you. You got drunk and missed the entire, like, duel. Like, what are you talking about? We found you in this ditch. Like, nothing happened. And he's just like, and I think that that's way funnier. Instead, I don't know that their culture murders or anything like that. It seems that, like, all of their customs revolve around proving your strength and your worth, and even when, like, you're shamed, they don't want you to die. They want you to, like, be in your shame so they can continue to rub it in, and I think that that's really cool, especially for, like, a big brutish bear culture. You would expect them to just be like, maul and kill, but they've clearly developed and they're refined individuals. The duel is wrapping up a little bit too nicely for Bill's liking, and upon returning to the encampment, he discovers one of his people's ships is there. And he's like, oh, these are my bosses. I'm going to give them a what for leaving me here this whole time. I figured their whole thing out. Only problem is, it's not his bosses that show up. It's Greenleaf, the guy that he was sent there to look for. And Greenleaf explains to him that he was used in a little experiment here. And Bill's like, yeah, I know. I figured out all of your plans. I know exactly why you did this, why you put me here, why you put this here. And the whole time he's doing that, Greenleaf is like, I don't know about these things. Like, what are you talking about? And it turns out that Bill saw plans within plans within plans, the more connected that he got with the Debellan culture. And I love that he kind of becomes an actual, like, man-bear in mindset. He's able to connect with their hierarchy structure, and he was able to do this because, as Greenleaf puts it, that he had no connection to bosses. He wasn't like some corporate guy there to push any agenda. He was just simply there to do a job. When he couldn't do the job, he was left to his own devices and figure out how to survive. They didn't believe at the start of this that the Debellans had any sort of hierarchical structure or customs or beliefs. They thought, just as I stated, that they were just a simple bear, like backwoods bears. And what do you think our most competent protagonist decides to do after he's learned all of this? And Greenleaf is basically like, hey, we're really proud of you. You learned way more than we thought you were going to. Like, not only did you discover that, like, these people do have a culture and a hierarchical system, but, like, they have access to tools and weapons and stuff already, so it'll be easier to teach them or what have you. You think Bill is gonna stay on this planet and cultivate a life with the Dilbians or anything like that? No, absolutely not. The man is just like, oh, cool, I did a good job. I'm gonna leave now and start my own family with Anita. And it's funny because as he is taking off in the spaceship with plans of his own and all this other stuff with Anita, he notes that Bonebreaker is getting fat from marriage. There's no reason to kick a bear while he's down, dang it. And that is pretty much how the story ends, and I thought it was a super cute little sci-fi novel. I didn't expect it to basically just be a man helping a bear through his midlife crisis and learn that he needs to settle down and quit being such an outlaw. I thoroughly enjoyed the book, and I'll definitely go back and read other works from theirs. And the fact that it came out in, like, 69 had me a little bit worried about it, but it was a very good read, very easy to understand and everything, so I definitely recommend it. I'm going to finish up my look now, and when I come back I will be completely green and have little antennae. This is it, and this is the final look for my little ink blot alien makeup. I love the little antennae and how cute they look. I also enjoy how it looks when I close my eyes and you can get like the full effect of the makeup that I was trying to accomplish. It reminds me of little monarch markings, or it definitely does look like little ink blot stains. I hope you enjoyed my ramblings about Spacepaw and maybe learned a thing or two about space bears as well. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more looks like this one. Like, comment, do all the things, but the most important things, stay well, stay hydrated, stay chaotic. Bye.